Rain poured down that evening like the sky itself was grieving. The hospital lights flickered faintly against the storm, and inside, Nurse Alara rushed through the corridors with soaked shoes and a tired heart. It was her third double shift that week. She was used to exhaustion, used to skipping meals, to saving every cent for her little brother's education, but the ache that came from seeing patients suffer never dulled. That night, they brought in a man after a car crash. His suit was ruined, his wristwatch shattered, but something about him screamed authority and wealth. His name, Adrian Cole. The doctors whispered as they worked on him. His name was known, a reclusive millionaire rumored to own half the city's hotels. But now, stripped of status and covered in blood, he was just another human clinging to life. Alara worked through the night beside him, her hands steady, her voice calm. She changed his bandages, monitored his breathing, and spoke softly when he drifted in and out of consciousness. He had no family present, no one to call. When he finally opened his eyes properly the next morning, she was the first face he saw. "You're safe now," she said quietly. Her smile was tired, but sincere. For days, she stayed assigned to his care. He was withdrawn, speaking little, his arrogance dimmed by injury. He observed her, how she treated everyone the same, the homeless man in the next bed, the old widow with no visitors, and even the rude businessman who yelled at nurses. There was warmth in her that money could never buy. When he was well enough to walk again, he thanked her simply and left. No grand gestures, no promises. Just silence. Alara didn't expect more. She had seen many wealthy patients before, all vanishing back into the perfect worlds. But what she didn't know was that Adrian hadn't stopped thinking about her. He returned a week later, this time in plain clothes, no driver, no luxury car. He found her in the hospital cafeteria, hunched over a lukewarm cup of coffee. "You saved my life," he said. "But I think you did more than that." She blinked, surprised. "I just did my job, sir." He smiled faintly. "Maybe, but no one has looked at me like I was human in a long time." He began visiting often, always humble, always kind. He never revealed who he truly was, not yet. He told her he worked in real estate, nothing more. They walked after her shifts, sharing stories under flickering streetlights. She told him about her brother, her dreams, the nights she cried quietly when she couldn't afford rent. He listened, truly listened, as if every word she spoke was gold. Adrian hadn't known real connection in years. His life had been a blur of meetings, contracts, and people who smiled only for what they could gain. But Alara, she asked for nothing. She reminded him of what he'd lost, the simplicity of love without calculation. One evening, he asked to walk her home. She hesitated but agreed. They walked through narrow lanes to her small apartment, where laundry hung on wires and laughter echoed from neighbors' windows. "It's not much," she said softly, embarrassed. "It's real," he replied, eyes warm. "That's more than I can say about most places I've been." Weeks turned to months. He became her confidant, her quiet miracle. She started to notice things about him, how his shoes were too fine for an average man, how he never flinched when she spoke of poverty, as if he had seen both worlds. Still, she never asked. Then, one afternoon, her brother fell ill. The hospital bills piled up, and Alara broke. Sitting outside the ward, tears streaming down her face, she whispered, "I can't do this anymore." Adrian knelt before her, his voice shaking. "Alara, let me help." "I can't take your money," she said fiercely. "You're my friend, not my savior." He took her hand gently. "Then let me be something more." He disappeared that evening. The next day, the hospital administrator called her to the office. Confused, she entered, and froze. Her brother's medical bills were cleared, every expense covered. "By who?" she asked. The administrator smiled. "Anonymous donor. Said you'd refuse if you knew." She ran outside, heart pounding. As she reached the hospital gates, she saw Adrian standing in the rain again, this time surrounded by black cars and suited men. Reporters were snapping photos. He turned toward her, his secret finally bare. Adrian Cole, she whispered in disbelief. He looked almost ashamed. I never meant to deceive you. I just wanted to be seen for who I was, not what I own. Her chest tightened. You lied to me. I know, he said quietly. And if I could undo that, I would. But Alara, I love you. Not out of gratitude or guilt, but because you made me remember I'm human. You made me want to live again. Tears mixed with rain on her face. She didn't answer, just turned away. Days passed. She tried to forget him, but everything reminded her, the smell of coffee, the sound of rain, the way he had listened. One night, a letter arrived at her door. No signature, just an invitation. Meet me at the place where the storm first began. Confused, she went to the hospital garden, the same place he had first spoken to her. Lanterns glowed softly through the trees. He stood there, holding a small velvet box. Alara, he said, voice trembling, I don't want to buy your love. I want to earn it. I know we come from different worlds, but maybe those worlds were meant to meet. She stared at him, tears burning. You're impossible. Then let's be impossible together. He knelt in the damp grass, raindrops falling around them like blessings. Will you marry me? Her heart stuttered. The man before her wasn't the billionaire the world saw. He was the broken, gentle soul who had once lain helpless in her care, who had seen her strength and found his own in it. She nodded through tears. Yes. He rose, slipping the ring onto her trembling finger. The nurses watching from the windows cheered. For the first time, Alara felt that maybe life wasn't about the cards you were dealt, but the hearts you dared to trust. Their marriage was simple, no luxury, no spectacle. Just laughter, vows, and hands intertwined. Adrian invested quietly in the hospital, building new wings for those who couldn't afford care. Alara continued to work, refusing to abandon her calling. People whispered about the nurse who married the millionaire, but she never saw him that way. To her, he was the man who had been reborn through compassion. Years later, when storms rolled in over the city, she'd find him by the window, watching the rain. He'd turn to her and smile. Do you remember the night I nearly lost everything? She'd kiss his hand. You didn't lose it, Adrian. You just hadn't found me yet. And as thunder rumbled outside, they'd hold each other, proof that love wasn't about riches or status, but the courage to see someone's soul and choose it, again and again, no matter the storm.